Yes, we will.
Good morning and welcome to Planning Housing Economic Development. Today is July 2nd, and I'm Council Crystal Reyes of the Vice Chair's Committee. Councilmember Gay, Chair Committee is on her way, but we're just going to get started. Can I start with roll call?
Vice Chair Oriad.
Here.
Councilmember Nova. Councilmember Wilson. 3 men present. Roll call.
Thank you. So on our agenda today, we have legislation and proposed correspondence. We'll start with the letter, the proposed joint letter for the Maryland Department of Planning regarding them to the priority funding area. I'll start staff for orientation.
Good morning, Chair Gay and Chair Red, members of the PHE Committee. The proposed correspondence to Secretary for Maryland Department of Planning regarding amendments to priority funding area to designate Parkland and Creek properties part of the BFA. The Planning Board submitted a pact which includes a draft letter from County Executive Brayway and Chair Red to Secretary for requesting designation of the sites. The Planning Board letter to is also a letter to County Executive and Chair Accounts asking for a favorable recommendation on this. Mr. Dessel submitted written testimony supporting extension of the priority funding area to the properties. Mr. J. Campbell is here to provide a fiscal and policy impact statement. I'd like to ask Mr. Campbell to discuss his statement. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Buckley and members of the HD Committee. My name is James Campbell. The following is an overview of LDR 060226 regarding the proposed joint letter from the County Council Chair and County Executive Rebecca Flora, who is Secretary of the Maryland Department of Planning, regarding amendments to the county's priority funding area, or also PFA. You will find a copy of the draft on 6 virtual binder and a copy of this word on page 17. On May 7th, 26th, the Prince George's County Planning Board voted unanimously to request the County Council Chair and County Executive transmit a letter to Maryland Department of Planning to amend the county's designated priority funding area. Smart Growth Priority Funding Area Act of 1997 originally passed as Senate 389, is now part of the annotated Code of Maryland. It was enacted to influence state expenditure on economic growth and development related to infrastructure by directing state funding to designated PFAs. Legislation permits counties to designate area beyond predefined areas as designated growth areas if the area is the criteria in specific PFA categories. Any request to change PFA boundary under these requirements is submitted in a letter from the County Council Chair and the County Executive to the Maryland Department of Planning. Important to note, PFA designation is not automatically development or change zoning. It's just an area eligible for consideration for many state funding that is available. The area we're talking about today is specifically for Parkland and Rock Creek. The properties are located within the established communities area shown on North West map in 2025 and the Legacy Comprehensive Design Zone. Different titles, the prior zoning or its auto company. The comprehensive design plan was approved by the Georgia County Planning Board on March 3rd, 2022 with conditions. Additionally, the annotated Code of Maryland states PFA designation of this property may be approved if 1, the property is within a locally designated growth area of the government and plan served under the approved 10-year water sewer plan. 2, the designation represents a long-term development policy for promoting an expansion, growth, and an efficient of land and public services. And 3, in that part of the area designated by local government or residential use or development, there is permitted an average density of less than 25 use per acre, with Park and Creek meet all the above criteria. Thank you very much, and that includes overview LTR 060-2026.
Thank you so much. Thank Chair for stepping in. Net, we have the proposed correspondence. Do we have any questions from committee members? All right. In that case, then we also have our speakers list about that. Ms. Matthew Tesco.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Matthew Tesco from Mehosi, we have Stanley Martin Holmes, who's the owner developer of the Parkland Creek property. I want to thank staff for presentation, thank the board for report. And Madam, I want to thank you all first for your report in initiating the PFA designation. This is somewhat unique circumstance with respect to some PFA designations that the council is familiar with. Triggering this PFA was due to the requirement of person transferring wetland mitigation credits as part of the Title Mitigation Bank. That was reviewed and approved by the Maryland Agricultural Land Conservation Foundation. And one of the criteria with respect to the mitigation and person transfer when credit associated with that bank was property being designated within a PA. They were supportive of the efforts to transfer those credits because the process had commenced in fall 2025. I'm Chair with assistance. And so what we are doing here today is just seeing that through with respect to the final PF designation for this project. And those credits are solely related to infrastructure improvements related to improvements to Mark Road and also the construction and extension of MC 631 with Suitland Parkway extended through the property. So those were the dream mechanisms for the wetland credits. The wetland credits upon bank required PFA designation, and before you this case today asked the council to support that for you kind of a period end of that sense. Thank you so much for your indulgence, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. All right, and now we have we have a comment from County Executive, Ms. Angel.
No, not at the moment. I will take letter back if there's an issue, but matter fine with it. So decide.
Okay. A motion to favorable.
Again.
All right, can you please call roll?
Chair Gay.
Aye.
Chair Rhonda.
Aye.
Councilmember Adam Bafford. Councilmember Deneau.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda is an ordinance concerning the development standard of street parking in CB 47 for purpose of increasing minimum number of required off-street park space for apartment housing for elderly or physically disabled. And turn it over to Ms. Hightower.
Yes, this will amend zoning ordinance to allow off-street park regulations by increasing the minimum number of parking spaces for apartment housing for elderly or physically disabled families from one parking space to per 4 beds to one space per 2 beds. Bill in the agenda item summary are on page 21 through 25. The redevelopment authority submitted a memorandum recommending amendments to legislation. Ms. Angel is here and may be able to provide additional comments on that. The Renew Authority submitted an AG comment supported legislation with amendment. Ms. Lottie is here from Revenue Authority, and he discussed the comments. Mr. Jesko submitted written testimony reporting C-47 2026. The planning board voted to support C-47 with amendment, and the staff also here their comments. One asking is the City of College Park submitted a letter in support of legislation. I'd like to possibly turn to Ms. Lottie to go over the Revenue Authority comment if that's appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. We are the Revenue Authority, and I met with the approach recommended by the Redevelopment Authority with a 25% default increase. This just being requirements to actual project context to allow stronger standards to justify and practice transfer affordable and low demand kingdom projects. It also requires administrative standards, stat review, also is less simple than single figure ratio. In addition, this aligns with the parking policy where you develop feasibility, accessible housing, affordability, and neighborhood compatibility. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now actually we have a speaker select here. Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I appreciate the comments from the Revenue Authority Development Fee and park planning. This is B47 address a flaw in the current zoning ordinance. The existing requirement 1 space for 4 beds not reflect how elderly housing actually function today. The current standard resulted in case significantly less parking than was historically required, and in recent case in my district, not adequately accommodate residents, caregivers, staff, medical providers, and visitors. There are proposed amendments to draft one, which, I've reviewed the testimony from the planning department, from Redevelopment Authority and stakeholders, and offering amendments that improve the bill. Amendments reflect a more context-sensitive approach and a state one-size-all standard. Amendment 1 would change parking ratio from per bed calculation back per dwelling unit calculation we had talked about. So the chair and I have projects that's a fact, and so we have worked together on that. So not new to you. This is consistent with any department recommendation and restores the methodology that existed historically before the current ordinance was adopted. And it specifically recommend approve condition on usual unit standard the previous change documented policy basis. I mean, to recognizes that not every location charges against the same transportation characteristics. So we go to the Beltway 0.6 parking spaces per dwelling unit outside the Beltway, 6 parking space per dwelling unit. It's recognized greater transit access and walkability into the Beltway. This support compatibility with surrounding neighborhoods, reduce likelihood of spill parking, recognizes good principles by acknowledging transit accessibility, balance between real and affordability and neighborhood functionality. I do appreciate Development Authority's thoughtful comments, their support for improving the ordinance. However, I believe their proposed multi-tiered framework necessarily complicates what should be a straightforward parking standard. The recommendations require additional administrative determinations, subjective evaluations, and project-by-project judgments that use predictability, make administration more difficult. There's a limited grant for improvement for project already advanced in the development review process. Protecting against relied upon regulations in effect while the projects were moved, avoiding disruption to projects are pipeline. So I think it makes a lot of sense, and we worked with the developers and worked with my colleague and others, and to the balance for these two projects. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. And would like any questions from committee members? Okay, now we do have 3 speakers list. I'd like to call up Matthew Deska.
Good morning again, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. Matthew Desker on behalf of Bruce Companies, which is a property owner in the city of College Park. And we are here in support of CB 47. We did a written testimony in support of bill. We'd submit all written testimony, but I'd just like to thank the 2 sponsors, Chair, Vice Chair, with respect to the bill. Understanding the amendment that were presented here this morning, we were in support of those amendments for 4 different reasons. I'll just go through those quickly. First, the amendment with respect to return to per dwelling unit versus a per bed. It says the planning department's recommendations unanimously supported by the planning board. Second, recognizes Georgia County is not inside of all jurisdiction. The ratio of 0.60 spaces per dwelling unit inside the building and 0.66 spaces per dwelling unit outside the building reflects some modern planning principles recognizing different transportation options within areas. Third, it preserves predictability. The standard be clear and material. Applicant staff surrounding communities all benefit from regulations that are objective, easy to administer, and consistently applied. Fourth, ensure fairness and includes a limited Section 2 grandfather provision. It's nearly tailored and applies to projects that received plan subdivision approval before September 2025, as well as fire special extension as our projects in the plan currently. In response to the redevelopment authority's comments, which we definitely appreciate and considered in reviewing some this morning, the proposed tiered framework would add unnecessary administrative flex to what has historically been a zoning standard. The sponsor's amendments accomplish the same goal with a sole predictable context-sensitive framework that is easy to administer while still balancing the development, affordability, and neighborhood compatibility requirements. I also like to publicly thank the City of College Park for its continued support of C-47 and the Branco Crossing project. And I just want to note that there's nothing in the bill that restrict or prohibit applicant requests reduction to a required parking pursuant to any will prevent the code, authorizing alternative parking plans, modifications, or reductions. And I hear my time to thank.
Thank you. We have Pete Goldsmith. Did you put your name on the speakers list? Okay, so now we'll do it after.
Morning, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Peter Smith of the Railroad firm Shirley and Burke and Bowie, here in support of the bill and its proposed amendments. I'm here on behalf of Link Avenue Communities, who does have a project currently in the plan with approved preliminary ban. One of the bill sponsor for interested in the amendment that will preserve a project. And we did coordinate with Mr. Tesco and I myself this comments and the language that he posed, the written comments. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And now, actually, next we would have a comment from the agency. Parkland, did you come up and give a comment?
Good. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, comment. This was a good example of this Dave Warner Principal Council for Park Planning. This is a good example of a situation where we have the new zoning ordinance, years old, new still, where we get projects that come in, you realize, oh, only by seeing projects come in do we realize that something needs to fix. And that's the kind of origin this came from. We had some of the projects come in and realize counting the number of parking spaces required by bed isn't appropriate for environmentally. So that was the genesis of this. And then the same thing I wanted to comment on was we posed a per unit parking space requirement. And what we did is we went back and looked how the county had doing it for 40 years for elderly housing. They like to call it. I don't know that the of us are 55 consider us elderly. There might be a better word in the future for that. Nonetheless, that's where rate came in. We recommended. We didn't do a parking study or any kind of analysis of what type of parking is needed countywide for housing that's dedicated to 55 over. But that's the background on how we come up with that rate. And I've seen the second amendment, but I get them described to me, and I'm pretty sure that the planning board will be supportive of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, and we have anything from the county executive, Ms. Long?
No, the redevelopment authority as well as the, sorry, two things. We'll look over the amendments. They're in line with what suggests. I can't state a certain support, but I'll take this back to both agencies if there's issues flag them.
Okay, I'm turning over to commit any motion.
Thank you very much. So this, the amendment should be inside the council belt with the 0.6 space per dwelling unit, and all other areas in the 0.66 per dwelling unit. And so that's basically not two amendments necessarily. It's two different things. We're changing beds, dwelling unit, and we're changing the number, the percentage. So that is simple.
Thank you. Did you have any?
Thank you, Member of Council Sturts, and I stand here as actual language more than as you said, but advanced. So that's my concern. But also there says it'll be tied to a preliminary plan of subdivision approval or something of that nature. Maybe your second amendment.
Sorry.
I just heard you well advanced enough, add enough, a little more than.
Mr. Dev,
Thank you.
If I may, other amendment would be the Section 2 amendment of the bill with respect grandfather provision.
I'm sorry, that's right. That was important. And that should have been in draft 2, right?
Yeah, this wasn't to a bill, so I think Ms. McNeil was commenting on the fact that the script that was in your committee was a little vague, but language in the draft bill is more specific.
Yes. Okay.
I think she did. Ms. Carey, do you have more?
Language that the Cruise project ran.
No, the Cruise project, the Cruise project not. So Section 2.
The Section 2, all right, yes, I have it on. Be it for enacted that a project requiring approval of special exception for permanent housing for the elderly, which received approval of preliminary plan subdivision on before September 30th, 2025, shall be subject to the requirements for minimum off park spaces in effect at the time planning to approve preliminary plan of division. You're welcome, Mr. Beth. Okay, so I move both amendments at the same time, or? Yes, I'm moving the amendments.
Second. Okay, then a motion, second. Can we call roll?
Chair Gay.
Aye.
Vice Chair Oriaga.
Aye.
Councilman Adam Stafford.
Aye.
Councilor DeNova.
Aye.
Councilmember Olson. Motion carried 5-0.
I move favorable on the bill amended.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Can we call roll?
Chair Gay?
Aye.
Vice Chair Raga?
Aye.
Councilmember Adam Hafford?
Aye.
Councilmember Dunga?
Aye.
Councilmember Olson?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Right, next on the agenda, we're gonna move around to, CB 63. And it's an ordinance concerning regulation of residential infill for the purpose of promoting higher density residential development, permitting infill two-family and townhouse dwellings in a residential rural zone side capital beltway, providing use standards for infill dwellings, RR zone, amending intensity and dimensional standard for infill dwelling within the RR zone, setting forth minimum maximum parking standard for infill dwellings within RR zone. Turn to Ms. Howard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you had mentioned, bill to residential neighborhood use to permit two-family and townhouses in the residential zone. If those is located both inside Capitol Beltway and within a half-mile of transit or within 500 feet of high-density residential zone. The bill also requires TLC plan approval. The bill is on page 158 through 165 of your virtual binder. Mr. Desko submitted written testimony supporting CB 63-1226. Ms. Campbell is here to provide an overview of our fiscal and policy review of the legislation. Before I turn to Ms. Campbell, the planning board votes to support CB 3 with amendments. They're still here to go over their comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And, we get comment from sponsor, Councilmember Sure.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Morning, members of P. I don't usually here, so it's nice to be joining you all. I'm testing in support of my legislation, CB 63. If you all, look at the map. This bill really focused on inside the way development. We know from the governor and from all of our plans, we want to see trans-oriented development. In particular, this bill is going to be, I think, great asset to the community when it comes to different housing options and affordability, not just in my district, but in the surrounding area. I also want to make sure I forwarded your emails that the properties owners are supportive of the legislation. If you look at the map, only 7 properties, I believe, inside the way that would be impacted if they would like to. This legislation would apply for. I ask for you all for consideration, and yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you. And now we turn over to our committee. We had a question from Councilmember Duna.
Park planning, proposed a whole new amendments. There a draft 2, I don't draft 2.
There's a draft 2. I'd be opposed to an amendments to parking thing if we haven't discussed them though.
I was wondering if there's any prepared. It was a laundry list. It was just one little amendment. So if not, there's nothing. You're my question.
Okay.
I'm anything down.
I heard of parking. We've been on the bill several times, but I don't think we got to draft with all our amendments.
Right.
And since today we do have a delegate who is our public speakers, delegate Tavessa, you sir, want to come? And then we have some other public speakers that we here today. But thank you, Delegate Tavessa, for joining us.
Thank you, everybody. It's so nice to be here with you all today. Seeing so many of our friend community members show up today on the particular decision. I'm here to oppose C63 for a multitude of reasons. I feel very strongly that based on a textbook definition, this is not a TOD site of that. By far, one of the most critical just finished trying to address the overcrowding in our schools in our district while I was on council, and to have the addition without real thorough analysis is extremely concerning. I believe that we do need to give this ordinance that we spent almost years working on a chance to act. I'm not opposed to affordable housing. I am opposed to have this being through its amendments by zoning. I believe it addresses many more piece of land, not just a property around the corner of my house, which based on my conversation with current owner on paper, they did not request this and would prefer to leave better legacy for our community. This, I understand that they were having some conversations. I believe that we should consider better DOD locations and middle housing. Would not categorize this as such. And I do think that there is what's allowed in this property is really different. The housing option that's been presented by Stanley Martin, which is something that additionally they never had the tendency to approach us and community to have discussion about. And I'm sure this is Mr. Tedesco Day. So I'll say that he knows I operate, and I would think that he know that a conversation needs to be had ahead of time. I do have a formula that I would like to submit to the body. It's okay, I can email it. We were in the process of developing this morning, even the prompt. I think that may I ask for you all to hold the bill indefinitely, because I've been working closely with the Speaker of the House and State Senator Malcolm Augustine, who are also very instrumental in the region. And our request is that at this time, we believe that there's a better option. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have any questions? I'm open for questions.
Thank you so much. All right, our next speaker is Mr. Titsko. Thank you.
First things first, I would have the proclamation today being made today, but in all seriousness, I'm Chair, Vice Chair of the Committee, Matthew Tedesco, on behalf of St. Martin Homes. First, public want to acknowledge Delegate Harrison. Always understanding the importance of working with our lead and officials, and there has no application or anything related to this property file. We will absolutely continue to work in due diligence with the Unich's table of how I participate in the county. So you might work like there said if we move forward, we will absolutely be sure to work with you and the local senators as well as our leaders here in council. I submitted a letter in support of CB63, one of the bill's sponsor for her efforts in this regard. I think the question before the committee, ultimately the question before the council, is where this board to move a committee, or hopefully when it moves out of committee, is not whether we pour and fill housing developments out of the way. I think, hope everybody can agree that we all do. The question is whether we will provide a predictable legislative pathway to achieve it, or continue relying on uncertain zoning tools that have consistently failed to deliver housing reinvestment in the county, and particularly inside the bay. 4 points that we raised in the letter in support, just go through this very briefly. Number one, we believe that the bill implements existing county policy. Legislation is not creating policy. It is implementing policy that the county already adopted. For the last year, the county executive members of the council planning have all emphasized increasing housing supplies is a key component, encouraging reinvestment into the capital outlay, creating more predictable development approvals, and modernizing zoning regulations. We believe that CB63 is a legislative tool that has accomplished all those objectives. Number two, the existing zoning rules are not providing new and needed housing inside the bay. Planning board just aligned plan development rezoning spoke 7 or if your second map amendment. While those tools do exist, they often require consistency master plans from, in the case, the 1980s, which predate the plan to 35 by more than 25 years. Take years to complete, create certain the process, and time cost, and distribute the very minimum housing that the county says they want. Something that makes sense should not require rezonings all the time. We just need to promulgate an effect tool to facilitate the policy goals, and the county says it was to encourage. Otherwise, the results are not lawful planning, but stagnation, which is what we're experiencing primarily around our trade-oriented areas. Third, CB63 is a targeted state-based bill. Apply inside the capital way only, properties 20 acre or more, and require proximity to trade or high density. With that amount of chair, since my time is, I will submit on the testimony and just would ask the committee to support the bill. And if it will be held, I'm happy to work the bill sponsor and complaining. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is S. Anderson. Oh, yeah, sorry. So remember now, I have a question.
Run it.
Being Mr. Tedesco Day, I wouldn't want you appreciate it. You said there's no change in policy, and we're dealing with plan to go back to 1989. But Park Planning, good point on the memo that the 2025 proposed West Hollywood Queensville set map and recommended classification Queens Manor neighborhood. The planning board endorsed this, and also in 2022, the UMC Purple stationary sector plan recommended type of change that the council did not include it. So it seems like you're correct that the council strongly supports housing inside the way, things of that nature. In the general area, maybe specific area, the council planning twice decided to do it. So to say your position through a text amendment is because of policy, I would agree and let you respond to that.
Sure, no, I appreciate that, and I'm not probably as familiar with the details of those plans on a property basis, but I understand it. Predominantly, a lot of that driven by certain properties within the area. Which this bill, I took a load approach to try to remove those properties that I would say probably triggered the need of those to move forward. But I think there are certain properties within the areas that have garnered a lot of attention, and I think this bill has been strategically targeted to try to contain this as quo.
Strategic targeted euphemism for zoning? It's not, okay.
I think 7 or 8 properties that would apply.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, for the floor. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to affirm, Mr. Tedesco, I think forward I have my colleagues, but that can you just speak a little, because I think a lot of information about the intent of the property owner was brought up. So if you could speak on what intent of this property is, and I had my own conversations with different leadership, and I said, for me, I'm all in line to support and in our district is redevelopment, right? It's already tarred, already have building structure there. But I think you could talk a little about that and the intentions of the particular properties.
Sure. So my client, Stanley Martin Homes, has a contract purchase. One of the properties that we impacted by this bill, there are a number of properties that we impacted. There's a map in your back that articulates from complaining properties based upon the amendments, an original LR that garnered a lot of concern and changed the acreage minimums with respect to the version of the bill. But they are the contract preserved property at 9001 Hare Avenue. There's a letter of support put in by the property owner with respect to this bill, supporting BC3 and to see the property redeveloped in a manner that we can sit with this bill.
Yeah, I just want to clear the record. Thanks.
Thank you. No other questions?
Hi, I'm Kenny Anderson with Rogers Consulting. I'll just pick up what's your comment tonight is exactly the problem. We hear over and over in the real estate business that Prince George County needs more development, needs more investment, needs to upgrade the infrastructure existing roads. But we want to make sure that's done according to sound planning principles. We have a comprehensive plan in 2035 that calls for concentrating growth at the Bay, focusing on established communities like the one that this bill addresses, and to prefer infill over greenfield. That is exactly the kind of element this bill contemplates, but over and over again we're told, no, not that way. Yeah, we want inside that way, but not here. We want more investment, not that. Well, I submit to you, this bill is selective. It is strategic, not a user response thing. It is an accurate description of a bill that selectively targets properties that are inside the way that are widely and appropriately zoned. We talked a little about elderly housing, or I guess an old now, but some of these plans were adopted when it's still in school. And I please for the people in the room, even people on the side of the table, and you, Mr. Joga, but some others were really not been born yet. That's carrying that Menschbach school. And so I said to you that it's long overdue for county to confront the question of how are we going to encourage development, how are we going to really be really open for business and new investment and deliver kind of infrastructure and develop that purpose deserves. And this is not the end of that story, but it's an overdue beginning.
Thank you. Did you get Councilor Denoga?
You asked the question, how do you do this? And I was your testimony with the planning board when this came up, and you took the position that zoning amendments are not appropriate because they come discretion by the decision-making body, puts the projects at risk. But that falls in the face of planning and zoning work. And I think Park and Planning was pointed position instead of minimum with its legislation was going forward to be several special exceptions. I think said that. But text amendments to strategically target definitely not the way to go in terms of what the policies in place. It circumvents the process. I've had these days, so I'll give fair chance to respond. But business developers do one certainty, don't them. But people who live there want certainty too. If the rules are set a certain way and the zoning has been set, except for a handful of folks figured out that might affect them, the general population doesn't next time coming in front of the council with does say what property is. They don't know they're about the property next to them rezone. They find that after it's heard. If the zoning case, zoning map amendment, this is how signs go on and the evidentiary. So, you know, that we disagree highly, but I just take the position that's troubling to go that text route. There's no process of that nature opposed to zoning map amendment. I would argue, it's debated. I would argue that again, the zoning amendment process, you work with council, work with the community, before you invest a lot of money, you'll know whether the support project is not to any project, and that you could throw millions of dollars away on something that's going to get pulled out. But I agree with you. We're going to policy on that aspect, but I'll let you have your time.
There's a lot of time back that won't go point by point in interest of time, but I would say that in Prince George County, it routinely takes 3 or 4 years to bring a project through the process, even if you have zoning. So the amount of money that has to be invested if you're going to go through sectional amendment process, there's nothing wrong with aggression. Another way of saying would be politics, and that's appropriate for you as legislators to take into account political conditions or you think the community will or will not want to or be willing to accommodate new development. But if you see new investment in difficult contained sites and redevelopment info, by definition, difficult constraint, you need to create some certainty up front that sites are going to be available, that we can at least agree, and the code reflects the fact that they're designated as appropriate for an intendee of development. Exercise of discretion and margin is inevitable throughout the process and through the plan board and plan all the rest of it. If we can at least understand that we killed 10, 20 units an acre inside the way near transit in intensively developed areas, places that are already intensively urbanized, well, I just know where you begin. Again, there's more than one way to do this. We've tried many, but sort of like Goldilocks problem. Well, no, so you can't do properties. If you have a broad plan that covers vast, well, and you say, my God, who knows what the implication would be? Somebody might find a property that's not appropriate. We're trying to find a Goldilocks place in between where it's just right. I'm not sure that we're going to the perfect one.
It's just a plan amendment.
Well, my plan amendment is going to take months, if not over a year. It's right back to this question of certainty, amount of money that people have put into it before you know what the answer is. If you can have a legislative process that creates some reasonable baseline certainty upfront, says residential rural zone in 2026 inside OA does not make sense. That at least gives a starting point. So we go through a process that respects the community, that allows for a reasonable exercise of the details, but implement policy that this county has adopted. Every policy that gets put on paper for the last few years, for example, Plan 2035 recognizes is planning process.
Thank you, Councilmember Stafford.
Thank you so much. And I, certainly have a few areas in districts that I think would even fall underneath this new zoning and could possibly benefit from it. Well, I certainly agree with my colleagues that we want a transparent process that the public can be part of. And I just want to know, my colleague, Ms. Fisher, would you be amenable to some of the amendments that Park Planning has before? If you could, to the any conversation you've had, be very honored.
Yeah, I would be to the amendments. I think we need a little bit of time to see which ones, and my conversations with complaint feel like every single one instead of one or two. So kind of hard for me to know as a bill sponsor, but I would be open to amendments to the bill, a view that we could support.
Thank you. And I think our last speaker, you will, John Robson. Yes.
Morning, Chair Ariada and a member of the committee. My name is John Robinson. I live in Adelphi, inside the Bay. We have properties in our neighborhood that are under our, fortunately, because the spot change legislation, it no longer will impact our community personally. I'm thankful for that. But I am opposed to legislation, submitted written testimony, would hope you take them to read. And I'd like to point out that I'm in favor of affordable housing. I actually have a very close friend who is housing in fewer and moves place to place within the city, lives, to find this in a wider context. The DMV, Prince County, is the affordable housing part of the DMV. And basically, anybody who travels the Beltway or even our chills notices that in the morning, residents of Prince George County are going outside the county to work in their counties, and then even they return. And our tax base is primarily supported by residential property tax, whereas in Army County and neighboring counties, it's primarily supported by business tax. So by having more affordable housing, we're actually subsidizing businesses and so forth. Other richer counties at own expense. And some years ago, a study was done that demonstrated that in houses and high density housing, the property tax on the houses did not pay for the services that the communities required and expected, and you had to have higher priced housing. This time it would basically put us more in financially, but he already has a high tax rate in the state of Maryland. So I think we need to get other ways of increasing affordable housing. One would be to prevent investors from buying house stock and turning around and renting it. So I would hope they would add a minimum holds bill. It seemed to me that they need thorough analysis of impact on the county budget. This was pointed out previously by Delegate. We have many issues with this. So if any, and I guess the key issue is that we're continually talking about growth. And I would simply like to quote economist Kenneth Boulding: anybody who believes in infinite growth of anything real on a finite planet is either a man or an economist. And we need to deal with that reality.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Colleagues, do we have any motions on the floor?
Madam Chair, I would just say a couple things. This affects properties in District 2 that I'm not favorable to. That's one of many things concerned about, and I would motion hold.
Do I have a second? Second. Properly moved to hold by Councilmember Vice Chair, second by Councilmember Janoga. For roll call.
Chair Legay. Oh, sorry. Vice Chair Orietta. Aye. Councilmember Staff. Aye. Councilmember Janoga. Councilmember Wilson. Aye. Motion carries for 0.
Thank you. I'll get us back on track. The agenda on CR 5926, a resolution concerning school year 20 annual action plan for housing and community development. I'll pass it to staff for a review.
This resolution amend the FY 2026 New Action Plan House and Community Development by reallocating community development grant funding, block funds from previous years to Prince George's County House Rehabilitation Fund to support housing rehability housing rehabilitation assistance program. There's a adjustment package which includes draft bill attached with letter from County Executive Board requesting favorable consideration on the resolution. There were no public comments. We have Ms. Millai who will provide an overview of fiscal and policy statement, followed by a brief presentation on the housing rehabilitation assistance program provided by Director Butler and Chief of Development, Ms. Wilson. We also have Ms. Ashley here as well. I didn't know there were other people, but I have to turn over to Ms. Thank you.
Good morning, Vice Chair Oriada, members of Planning and Economic Development Committee. For the record, my name is Jalen Mawai, Legislative Budget and Policy Analyst with PhD Committee. CR 59 seeks to program $1.3 million from the CDBG program. Various program areas be allocated to support the Housing Rehabilitation Assist Program. $1.2 million will be reallocated to support the HRP fund, and $130,000 will be programmed to support the administration of program. Adoption CR 59 had adverse impact as $1.3 million in CDB entitlement and program income funds will be redistributed to support rehabilitation activities, including but not limited to installation of energy efficiency measures, accessibility, installation, repair, and replacement of HVAC systems, electrical and plumbing systems, as well as repair and replacement items such as roofs and windows. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair Wells, and Cabros, members of the committee. I'm another director for the Department of Housing and Development. We will have a brief presentation, really providing context on the Housing Rehabilitation Assistance Program, known as HRAP. My housing chief, Pam Wilson, will provide that presentation. Also have our deputy director, Angela, actually, that's here as well, and also we have our budget chief as well. So a couple of us here to be able to answer any questions. So, Pamela.
Hi, good morning. Pam Wilson, Housing Development Manager for the House Part. Just want to give you a brief overview this morning on the HRAP program, the Housing Rehabilitation Assistance Program, and briefly explain why continued investment in the program is critical to preserving affordable home ownership in Prince George County. HRAP provides storage loans of up to $60,000 to in-qualified homeowners, earn up to 8% of the area median income. These funds are used to address critical health and safety repair, accessibility improvements, and energy efficiency upgrades that allow residents to remain safe in their homes. Unlike programs that create housing units, HRAP preserves the affordable housing that already exists by preventing homes from deteriorating beyond repair, helping long-time homeowners avoid displacement and allow them to age in place. So HRAP delivers significant value to both. First, it preserves our existing affordable housing stock. Every home rehabilitated is one less home at risk of falling into disrepair or being lost from affordable housing inventory. It also helps residents remain safely housed by addressing the repair needs that many low and moderate income homeowners simply not afford on their own. And finally, HRAP serves residents countywide. Since fiscal year 2022, the program has rehabilitated 55 homes. The county has invested approximately $2.1 million through a combination of CG program income and housing investment trust fund resources. Though these investments have supported homeowners throughout the county. Each rehabilitation represents more than a repaired home. It represents a household that is able to remain safely housed, preserve generational wealth through ownership, and avoid the financial burden that often accompanies major housing repairs. The request for you today is intended to strengthen the long-term sustainability of this support program. Additional capitalization of the revolving fund will allow the department to expand assistance to more eligible homeowners, ensuring that families are not turned away because funding has been exhausted. Additional funding will improve our ability to respond to rehabilitation needs throughout the county, preserving affordable housing, stabilizing neighborhoods, preventing homeowner displacement before housing conditions become critical. This is an investment not only in individual homes, but in long-term health and stability and affordability of our communities. This is a quick picture showing some renovations that were done. And same there, new stereo wiring. That concludes the presentation.
Thank you. Now turn to my colleague, Councilman Noga.
I'm looking at source funds, and I'm wondering if the entities that are not part of the HRAP administration, have they been consulted and told that this will no longer available to them?
Councilman, when you say entities that are not being
It's only attachment A.
right, yeah, because these are actually funds that when you think about it, they're actually funds that were not where ACT came under, but and so these funds were actually allocated to HRAP programs. So we have recipients who are returning those funds because ACT is come under budget, so it allows us to reallocate and reprogram those funds.
I understand.
Yeah.
What's the question?
Okay, so
The question is, are these entities aware that the funding, that, one of the things I know that goes back over a period of planning, but I don't, the legal aspect, if I have an entity and I use these funds, I use all of them, how many plan years have they used these funds? Number one. So, the city being built, a town, Lander Hills, the prior year amount that they not extended. If we didn't do this reprogramming, they still be used as funds.
So the recipients have submitted and say we'll not use the funds, so they are aware. They submit documents and say, hey, we're not going to be able to send the funds. Therefore, go back part and leaves with the opportunity to reprogram them so that we spend funds to meet.
That was my question.
Yeah.
They've actually submitted things saying, we understand that we can't use it. All right, that wanted to know.
correct.
Thank you.
Any other colleagues have question? All right, thank you so much for your presentation. Do I have a motion? Probably move. I have a second. Reluctant, I can't. Councilman Denega. Okay, can we roll call?
Vice Chair Oriada.
Aye.
Councilmember from staff. Aye. Councilmember Denver. Councilmember Wilson. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Now, our last item on the agenda, we have C 6426, concern weed conservation landscaping. I'll put this for an overview.
This bill ends exterior property standards and anti-litter and weed ordinance regulations of housing to define conservation landscaping and update the definition of weeds. The bill also updates the language on making the coast provide to include watercrafts and modulars. The bill on the agenda on pages 97 to 06. Plan Department had any comments. There were no public comment, and Ms. Miller will give an review. Thank you.
Good morning again, Vice Chair Oriana and members of the HED Committee. Once again, my name is Shaylin Wise, Legislative and Policy Analysis Committee. I want to thank Mr. X. Hurd for his support in the drafting of this memo. C-60 for repeal and run portion of Title 15 to update the campus property maintenance regulations. Specifically, the bill establishes a definition for low impact or conservation landscaping and exempts intentional well-maintained conservation landscaping, plants, pollinator gardens, rain gardens, wetlands, woodlands, and cultivated vegetation from being classified as weeds. This bill also allows the county definition of noxious weeds, invasive plant species. The current Maryland law will retain the requirement to be maintained below 12 inches. Additionally, the legislation expands the definition of abandoned vehicles to include watercrafts and sand trailers. Enactment of the bill may result in non-implemented costs associated with staff training and coordination related to the update enforcement standards. However, legislation may also provide indirect environmental benefits by encouraging conserving landscaping practices, improve stormwater prevention, reduce mold-related amendments, support pollinator habitats, and decrease use of fertilizer, herbicide, other lawn care chemicals. Question for consideration of the committee and the grant can be found on page 50 of your virtual binder. Thank you. Thank you. To the sponsor.
I think Miller White covered. This is a provision or a proposal to allow people who want to have natural lawn, particularly for pollinators or in gardens or things of that nature, to do so with being fined by PI based on complaints. And this is already done in Bowie, High to Laurel, sure by College Park. But this has been spread across the country and in Baltimore County, the program. So it's just refined what weed and not a weed, consumed with Kamar. And one of the main points, it needs to be intentional, well maintained. It's not just cut on. And the Department of Environment, the range REBA is actually supporting this policy, but there are businesses where I think DI inspectors have been unclear as to, under the current law, whether they allow the type of natural lawn to exist. That's why we decided to put this in. And I think they understand the state passed HOA law. HOAs can enforce turf requirements on homeowners in HOA properties. So that's the nature. I think Angel had questions. Or Deep did.
Am I?
Yep.
I think one of the things the department would either might meet with on is getting, because this DPI versus DOE, which DOE personnel have more understanding of some of the claims, which is not something they're doing that DPI personnel would, especially with the fact that some of the enforcement responsibilities, in fact, even be transferred out of both those departments, right, into OHS. And so there is some need for clarification and some training before this type of policy could be enforced or enacted, because we need to get an understanding of what different things look like, how do we establish what's intentional, right, and what's just kind of uncared for lawns. So there's some questions and some vagueness that the departments need some clarification and some specification on how we go about this.
I would argue there's not ignis. I would argue that the DI has not changed, which is why I think that I think the DO people, I think the point is taking the DO, part of people might be trained, they have staff can deal with this. They're not an enforcement agency, so that's where I think the problem's in. I have to talk about the best way to deal with it, and I understand this from an Homeland Security enforcement issue. So no matter of proper training, or is it a matter of the enforcement will, this issue arises, if this issue arises, they have to reach a determination. I'm sure it can be put something like into the bill in terms of consultation with the environment.
I mean, you get that.
I'll just agree with that. Let's ask a procedure question. When is next PTD meeting?
July 16th.
We're set on the July 6th agenda. Not trying to sustain. I've been on this all year. You can sit. It's going to sit up there anyway.
Yeah.
Does that work?
That would work, and get our aid, everyone that's involved together with the office, doesn't person for office.
Yeah, it's basically me. I donate myself.
Perfect.
All right, I'm going to hold the next meeting.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Douglas, roll call.
Vice Chair Oriana.
Aye.
Councilman Adams. Aye. Councilmember Deneau. Councilmember Wilson.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
All right, I think the last on our agenda, have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Properly moved and second. All those in favor say aye. We adjourn.